This is the model that I use to understand a service. I use it to diagnose, and I use it to take a team through the understand phase of my redesign. Now, it's based on systems thinking, it's based on design thinking, and it has all of those concepts in that model. It's a relatively straightforward model. I'm going to go through it now with you. So demand comes in here from the customer into the organization. And at this point, we have a boundary. The demand can come in telephones, online forms, emails, walk-ins. And here, we react to those demands. So it might be that we react and we fulfill that demand in that initial transaction. Or it might be that we respond to that demand, but actually what we then have to do is that we have to hand it off to other parts of the organization to deal with. And as you can see, depending on the service, we might have a lot of places and a long flow end to end. This has to be the end to end flow of the customer, which may include going outside of the organization. So we start off with understanding that demand. We understand the type, what type of demand it is. We understand what matters to the customer when they make that demand. And we also understand what kind of reaction do we give to the customer at that point. By doing that, we get a very clear understanding as to what the purpose of this service is from a customer's perspective. And that's really important because what we're doing here is looking at the systemic view of the service from an outside-in perspective. The outside-in perspective is from the customer's perspective. And when we've done that, we look at the flow of the work all the way through end to end. And we understand that flow. We look at the value work, we look at the waste, we look at the interactions between the different aspects of that flow, we look at the communication of information, we look at the decisions made. When we've done that, we can make an assessment as to how well we respond to that demand. So we create measures that are linked to demand and the purpose. Now we look at those measures and we ask ourselves, how well do they actually measure what matters to the customer, and how effective are those measures? Once we've done that and we've looked at flow, we try and get an idea as to why is the flow designed that way? Why do we behave that way? Why do we make the decisions that we make? And why is it structured in this way? So we create a map of what the conditions around the system are like. We look at the environment that the service is in. We also look at the culture of the staff and the way that they work together and the way that they interact with managers. And from that, we can get some clarity as to what the thinking is of the people that designed this, effectively the leaders of the organization. And we can understand what principles they have used to create this whole service. And it would be part of the flow. We look at the support services that interact with the main flow. And those support services are things like HR and IT and other types of services. And we include them in all of this so that it becomes a true end-to-end look at the whole service. And in fact, it extends out and looks at the whole organization. Now, typically I do this with a team of people from the service itself. And we can take up to 4 weeks to analyze the whole element of what this actually does is that it gives the leadership a clear understanding of how the service works from a systemic perspective. And what it also does is gives us pointers towards what a new system redesign might look like.